Hey everyone, I'm Donna Druchunas, and this is a Procreate and Tech Tips session with Sequential Artist Workshop. Yeah, and so today we're going to talk about 1 point perspective, and I am going to pin or whatever they call it, spotlight my iPad for everyone so you can see what we're doing. So 1 point perspective, this is a picture I got from somewhere else that just shows what it is. Everything goes to this 1 point. And that's what it means. So there's all kinds of perspective. Last week we talked about simple linear perspective, where you're just working with the atmospheric perspective and things in the background and the foreground. But this week we're going to jump into 1 point perspective basics, and there's your 1 point, and you got to have these lines that point to it. We're going to talk more about 1 point perspective than you usually hear, because I found some really cool stuff on it that goes beyond the basics. But we're going to start. This is my favorite reference book on perspective for 1 point and 2 point perspective for making comics. So I'm going to be showing you a bunch of pages from this. So I wanted to point out the book, how to draw manga, putting things in perspective, in case any of you want to get it, because it's really good. It has a lot. I find all these manga books have a lot more details, and a lot easier for me to understand by the way stuff is explained than stuff for illustrators or stuff by English speaking publishers. I don't know why, but it's very logical to me and organized. So this is a page from that book, and this is showing what is 1 point perspective good for. So we saw that, the other perspective we did last year's last session is good for outdoor scenes that aren't very structured. We didn't draw any close-ups of straight roads or close-ups of buildings, but we had things like maybe one or two things in the foreground and stuff at varying distances. So the same thing happens here, but we have more detail on some of the things, and it has a direction that it's pointing in. So again, you can see everything in this drawing points to here, and everything in this drawing points to here. And it's another way of creating an optical illusion that feels like this has some depth, that looks like things are getting further away. And it has some of the same things that we talked about last time, such as there is always a horizon line in a drawing with perspective. And the horizon line is basically your eye level. And in outdoor scenes, it's usually where the sky meets the ground. If you have mountains, it's where the bottom of the mountains would be, because the mountains are kind of in the sky. So you've got your horizon line, just like we had before. You have things that are further away are smaller, things that are closer up are bigger. Everything we talked about last time applies to this, but we're adding more this time so that you can have more detail and work with geometric shapes. Because in a lot of stuff, man-made stuff is all straight lines and things, and that's really not what we were doing last time. Okay, so this is indoor scenes. So you can see what's similar to this. We're looking down a street, we're looking down a hallway, we're looking into a room. So everything is like where you're looking at something somewhat in the distance. There's a horizon line in this one. It's probably here, because your eye level is not at the ground. So the horizon line is like up from the ground, because your eye level is not at the ground, because this is much closer than the actual horizon outside. Yeah, so it has the same things, and basically we're going to build up things from boxes for a lot of this. And it doesn't have to be boxes, but it will be. So we're going to start with basic shapes, and I'll show you how to build them. So this is some cubes, whoops, some cubes that are looking like they're kind of 3D, and they're using 1-point perspective. So here's my 1 point for my perspective. It's always on the horizon line. It doesn't have to be here. It could be anywhere on the horizon line. In this case, I put it sort of in the middle of the page. But if you take a look at this, all straight lines in 1-point perspective are completely vertical, up and down, straight up and down, vertical or horizontal, or they go to the vanishing point. So horizontal and vertical lines are really easy to make in Procreate because you draw, I gotta be on a layer. So you draw a line, hold the pencil down. Well, I didn't draw a straight, I didn't draw one line, I drew 2 angles. Okay, so there's a line, hold the pencil down. It goes straight, and if you touch your finger on the screen, it snaps to 15 degrees. So you can get it to be completely horizontal or completely vertical. So that's great for drawing the side of the objects that are facing you. So, you know, this is just a box. It could be a building. It could be a piece of furniture, but we're just starting with the most basic. So you'll notice that the front of the object that's facing you is vertical and horizontal lines, as is the back of the object. And then all of the other lines in the whole drawing of straight lines will point to that. And there they are, drawn all nice. So you can see that all the lines in those rectangles point to the point, the 1 point, the 1 point for the perspective. Okay, so we're going to look at how to use the drawing guides to do this, the drawing guides in Procreate, and we're going to draw some here. So we're going to use both the grid and the perspective drawing guide. So I'm going to turn that off and make this the blank layer. When you're in Procreate, if you want to turn on drawing guides, you go to the wrench tool, and then you go to Canvas, and you'll see a thing called drawing guide, the 4th one down. So you turn that on, and it defaults to this grid. Okay, 2 things that are handy about this. One is it's a grid. So if you want to draw shapes or lines, you can use that as a guideline for trying to draw, you know, straight lines and things. Okay, the other thing is you can, you know, so that's just a visual helper for me. I didn't use it to snap my lines or anything. I'm just like, okay, I want to draw a straight line about there. So I'm just using it like if it was lines on a piece of paper. But you can go into your layer and open the menu, and you can go through here and find Drawing Assist. Turn on Drawing Assist. It says assisted here in really small type on the menu. Now, because it has the horizontal and vertical grid on, I can only draw horizontal and vertical lines. I cannot draw anything else. It just won't even let me. So that makes it even easier than, you know, pressing and holding to draw exactly horizontal and vertical lines. When the drawing assist is on and it's the grid in the drawing guide, that's it. That's all you get, horizontal and vertical lines. So that's another handy use of that. If you turn it on and you're drawing and you might forget, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's only drawing straight lines. Okay, that's because you left it turned on. And it's only turned on for that layer. If I make a new layer, it's not turned on by default. So now I'm on the new layer, I can do this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I had drawing assist on. You did for the other layer. So if you make a new layer, you have to go in and turn it on. Okay, so that is for creating the front of a thing. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle, and that'll be the front of our thing that we're gonna draw. But now, like, how do I draw those other lines? I don't know. I don't know how big to make the back of the box. I don't know what angle to put the sides. I mean, I could make one up because I know how to draw a cube, but it wouldn't fit in, in the drawing. Is it fitting in perspective with everything else? So we can use the drawing guide for that. We go to edit drawing guide. It's on that same menu, wrench canvas, and underneath the drawing guide, check on and off is an edit drawing guide. So you click on that, you get a bunch of options. So you'll see over here, there's 4 choices: 2D grid, isometric, perspective, and symmetry. So we're going to use perspective. The first thing I always do is turn the opacity and thickness of the lines all the way up because I want to be able to see them. But you notice there's no lines on here. That's because we haven't made a choice of where our vanishing point is. So that's at one point on the horizon. So I can touch anywhere in the screen where I want it. And there, it's added my vanishing point, and it's added all my angles of lines if I want to draw perspective. Notice that I can still see everything that was on my screen while I'm doing this. That'll come in really handy later. Okay, so I'm going to click done. Be careful when you click done. It's very easy to accidentally touch this color line and turn the guides to white so they disappear. So be really careful when you touch done that you don't change the color of the line. So, okay, so now I have that and I could figure out what to do with my box, right? So I'm going to stay on the same layer for now, and I'm going to draw more lines. So what I can do is I can just follow these lines and then hold my pencil where they end at the horizon line for anything I want to do that is not a horizontal or vertical line. Okay, so there's our cube heading off into infinity. Now it's probably not going to be that big, so we have to put a horizontal and vertical line somewhere else to define the back of the cube. So say we want it to be this steep, we do a horizontal line there, and then straight down from there, a vertical line. And then if this was a regular thing we were going to keep, you could erase that. Usually I would put all of this in like a sketch layer, and then I would add a new layer, go to my regular color that I want to draw in, and then draw on top of it. You don't have to make really straight lines. Like I like my drawings for my comics to be kind of wonky. So, I would draw over this and not worry if my lines are straight, but I still have the general perspective, but a really wonky cube there. Okay. So that is basically how you do that. It does not have to be a cube. I mean, I can draw a circle here. Let's go back to the sketching layer and the, orange pen and draw a circle here. Again, I can press and hold and then touch with my finger and it'll make it into a real circle. Or if I don't press with my finger, it can be an ellipse. So I want a circle. Then I can go to the vanishing point, following these lines. Now, it doesn't show you the vanishing point on the horizon line, but all these lines point to it. So if you wanted to make a layer in the background to make that clearer for you, you could take, whatever color you want, and you could put, a big dot there, and you could draw the horizon line in like that. Mine's not turning straight. I slowed down my turn it to a straight line because I was doing it by accident. So you can put that in a layer that you're going to turn off later if you want to see that horizon line and vanishing point more clearly as you're drawing. Okay, so back to our cylinder. We've got a cylinder that goes to infinity. So what we need for the rest of it is another circle down here that is the size of the cone made by the lines that go to the vanishing point. So back to our drawing layer. I'll erase the circle I started with because I didn't put it in the right place. Back to our drawing layer, and I'm going to draw a circle here. I'm going to go down the sides with that, and I'm going to draw the bottom of the thing. I don't need to show this part because my cylinder is not transparent. I didn't show all the parts on the box when I draw these back lines here, but actually what I did on this layer, you actually, you have, sorry, I had the eraser, you have the inside of the cube too, but we're not looking at that because we're drawing a solid object. We want to see the outside of it. Okay, so you make the front of the piece, whatever shape you want. You draw the lines following the guidelines. And you can do the same thing here. You can turn drawing assist on for this. So then when you draw these diagonal lines, they automatically go to the vanishing point, and you can't draw anything except horizontal, vertical, and going to the vanishing point. So when you have the perspective guide on and you put on drawing assist, you get all three: horizontal, vertical, and vanishing point lines. Okay, get rid of all those extra lines. So where's the back of our cube? You can either draw just the two lines like that, or you can draw the whole rectangle and then the vanishing point line to connect it. This is giving you just the framework. This is, again, not the final drawing. We're going to go onto our drawing layer and draw just the parts we want to make the object. And then, of course, we can, color them in and shade them. We can make this into a door to go into the box and add all kinds of things to it. That's just the super basics, okay? I have another thing in here just to show you that it doesn't have to be rectangles. You can do any shape. So I showed you how to do a cylinder, starting with a circle. You can make a prism, starting with a triangle. You can make a whatever the heck this is, starting with the thing. So like just to do, whatever the heck this is, I want to draw some shape, okay? And I want to make it have the 1 point perspective. So I'll turn my drawing guide on. Okay, I already made this drawing guide in this one to point to this vanishing point. So it matches up because I already made it. I'm going to go here. I'm going to turn on drawing assist. And then on another layer that I'll put in back, I'm going to take the sketch outline color, and I'm going to start right here and draw a line to the vanishing point. I'm going to go right here and draw a line to the vanishing point. Now, this is a really weird shape, right? I mean, it's a peanut, I guess. It's a peanut shape, right? So how do I make the back peanut shape? Well, what I do is I take my first peanut shape and select it, and you can use any selection you want, rectangle, freehand, whatever. I'm going to copy and paste it. So now I have a second peanut. You can see it in my layer list. When I click the arrow for the transform menu, my new one's selected. And now I'm going to shrink it and move it back where I want. How small do I want it to be? How deep is this object? And if I put it like here, I'll end up with one very shallow thing. If I put it back there, you can see how deep the cylinder is. I mean, I could have ended the cylinder here, and had a shorter one. So let's put this back there. Okay. And now we're going to connect the front and back ones by tracing over the perspective lines. And then where they overlap in there, you're going to erase that inside because we're not drawing a in transparent item. In fact, you could erase the whole inside here and then just add some shading or contour lines to show the top of the shape. Okay, we're probably not going to do a lot of stuff like that, but I just want to show you that you make the front piece, you draw the lines, you make the back piece, and that's really how you define the shape. That's for a solid shape. So what can we do with them? Got any questions before we move on to what can we do with these little shapes? Okay. Yeah, furniture. We can make furniture. I mean, furniture is just shapes. So this is from the manga book I showed you, and it has all different topics in it. But this particular one, because they, do a lot of stuff for teenagers, they might have classrooms and stuff. So they're showing you furniture. In this case, classroom desks. So you can see that, and they're showing you even whether you have students sitting them or not. All the lines point to the vanishing point, the one vanishing point. So here's a simple one. Now, I got these simple drawings, I got them from Google. So if you want to practice this or look at examples and, try to analyze them, just Google 1-point perspective. Somehow I have animation. Is this turned on? Now it's gone. Okay. So if I wanted to put the grid on, I would go to Wrench, Canvas, Drawing Guide, Edit Drawing Guide. Then I want to go to Perspective, and they already have a vanishing point there. So I will just touch where theirs is and say done. So now I have my lines in. So how did they draw this? Well, it has a little curves on it. I added a new layer to draw on. I'm using my regular brush. Well, here is, whoa, this is very low res. Here is that first rectangle for the front of the seat, right? Okay. Then we draw the lines back to the vanishing point. Whoops, I should put on drawing assist, right? Because then my lines will be straight. So I'm going to go ahead and put on drawing assist. Now when I draw those lines to the vanishing point, they're perfect. Every corner of the rectangle, I can draw a line to the vanishing point. Okay, I can turn off their drawing. You can see what I've done. Okay, so now what I did before is I took a little rectangle selection, I copy and paste the front piece, and then I move it and scale it to be the size of the back of the piece. And I'll turn off their drawing again. So you can see there I am drawing the seat of a chair. If I make a new layer and go to black, I can draw the seat of the chair, and I can curve the edges of it and say, okay, the edges of these are curved, but it was essentially rectangles. And I can even put some little curved marks on it like that. And then I say, I don't want to see that. Whoops, my eraser was way too big. I don't want to see that part because that's, would be the inside of the chair seat. And so now I have drawn, turning everything off except that layer, I have drawn the seat of a chair. Turn theirs back on. You do the same thing for this piece, draw it, it's exact same thing. And then these, because these pieces are so small, they didn't show 3 dimensions in them. If you wanted to make thicker legs for the chair, you could use the same feature to make thicker legs. But this one's just illustrating the seat. More here. So more chairs here. This is interesting because it's a lot of times when you see things that are showing 1-point perspective, you'll see things like this, where it's smack in the middle and the vanishing point is right in the center, and That's cool. Sometimes that's how your thing is, but it doesn't have to be. Your vanishing point can be anywhere on this line, as I said. So for these chairs, the vanishing point is not right behind them. It's over to the one side or the other, which means you can see the chair from a different angle, even though it's still 1 point perspective. And we're still treating the front of these chairs as rectangles that are flat on facing us, whether it's actually right in front of us or to the side. All these rectangles for the front pieces of the thing have only vertical and horizontal lines. And then we'll go in and turn on the drawing guide, perspective, mark our vanishing point, turn on a new layer and put drawing assist on. And now I can go and I can draw these things with only horizontal and vertical lines. I can put in all my shapes that I want. Whoops, that one I missed. So don't try to start at the vanishing point and work towards the object. Start exactly where you want at the object, and drawing assist will guide you directly to the vanishing point. So the back of my chair would be there. What I could do is select that rectangle, copy and paste, and drag it to where I want it to be. Where's the back of the seat? There. And then remembering, because I'm going to hide stuff because I'm going to erase parts of it. So now I filled in, I filled in the legs as though this whole chair bottom was a solid piece. But here you can see that you can do this separately for each of the legs if you want to have, more detail and show the 3D legs. You can do that. All the same thing. These are just rectangles added together. Now it can get really messy, right? It can get really messy looking when you have all these guidelines on that you're drawing, and you're drawing, okay, now I have to draw the back of that and it goes to there. And then this part it's connected to that and it goes back there. That's okay, because you can turn those guideline layers on and off and see what's going on. Same thing here. These are tables. They're even simpler than chairs because they don't have the backs. Just identify the rectangles and so forth. Same thing over and over. Rectangles, rectangles, rectangles. Even something like this, where the drawers are pulled out. Turn on your drawing guide. Go to perspective, put a vanishing point. I'm putting it where they have it, but if there wasn't one, you just pick one. And then you draw each rectangle separately for a background scribble sketch. So here's, whoops, make my pencil smaller. Here's the front of this drawer. So I'm going to do this drawer. Okay. I didn't put drawing assist on. Let me turn on drawing assist. Okay. Now my lines will be much nicer. Okay. Do that. Go to the vanishing point. Take the rectangle at the front of the drawer. Copy and paste it. Shrink it, move it. Where would the back of the drawer be? Probably about there, you're guessing, but you know what the vanishing point is, so we'll move that there. And we don't need this part because it would be hidden inside the drawer. And we can kind of see the inside of the drawer there. And then let's see, the top of the drawer ends here. Yeah, so we can kind of draw in what it looks like on the inside. This is another big rectangle, another big rectangle. All these are rectangles. These are showed, the little things are not really in perspective. They just added some shadows to give it a little depth, but there's no perspective involved in that. The clock doesn't really match this vanishing point. But if you were that concerned, you could, do the same thing for drawing the clock. This one looks like it's not pointing to the same vanishing point, which, you know what? I didn't notice it until I started drawing lines pointing. So if you have little things in a drawing where the big things have a vanishing point and you don't draw them to the same vanishing point, most people won't notice. It's up to you how precise you want to be. Okay, so here's a photo with furniture in it, right? So I have, a couple different ones, one with people, one without people, and one of just the couch. So let's say we're going to work from a reference photo and we want to sort of trace it. That's an easy way to create a piece of furniture. So you have your drawing of the couch. You can make it semi-transparent and add a drawing layer above it. Then again, we're going to go drawing guide, edit drawing guide, perspective, and we can put in the vanishing point. Now this couch is centered, right? You don't see the sides of it. So the vanishing point, would be right in the middle. I mean, let's say it's right there. That's our eye level. If we were standing up, our eye level would be a little higher than the couch. Now, you don't actually have to trace this couch, but you can see how the lines are showing the perspective for it. So I could draw, my own couch. It only has one big cushion, and I can follow those lines. Whoops, I did it again. I don't want to be able to make mistakes. So I turn on drawing assist. It's really drawing drawing the boss of you or something, but so now when I draw, it goes either vertical or horizontal. So that's all I can draw. And now to draw the rest of that cushion, I follow my guides. Now I'm not drawing this exact same couch. I want something to go straight up. I'm going to make fancy arms on my couch, but I can get a start here on where the placement, of things is, right? And I can get some ideas of what the perspective is and what angles I'm going to need to use to draw a couch. Okay, so now I have a bunch of lines in here. Whoops, to be straight up. Now I have a bunch of lines in here that looks kind of like a couch. So I can turn off the photo. I can make this one transparent. I can turn off the drawing guide. And now I can figure out how to draw a freehand couch. So I want these things to come up, and be fancy like that. And then I want to put legs on my couch. So I can use this as a guide for my couch. I really wanted there's legs there, but then there's also this pleated ruffle thing on it. So, I can use this as a guide for the shapes and draw on whatever I want. And my pillows are really curved, so I'm going to draw them that way. But I still have those guides for the sides and the shape of the couch. Whoops, I messed up there because I wasn't following my lines. The arm goes back like that because we're looking at it from a perspective. So see what I'm doing? I'm using those guidelines and I'm then adding the details to make whatever kind of couch I want. Any questions?
Donna, it seems like in that one, you mostly were following the picture of the couch,
right?
Rather than
you can use
a
picture for. That's one way you can do this.
But you don't really. So you find your pictures of the couch or the chair, but it's not tilted the way you want to tilt it. And I get like changing that with the distort tool. I guess I'd love to see.
That doesn't really work. So that's the second thing I was going to show you is instead of tracing, it has to be, if you're going to trace something or use it as in the background like that, it has to be pretty close to what you want. So instead of tracing, I'm going to go up to my wrench and click reference, and then I'm going to go import image. And somewhere here, I thought I had a couch, but it's gone. Okay, well, I'll go back here and I'll save this picture of the couch. So I'm just going to export this, share as a JPEG, and save the image. And then I'll go back to my blank drawing. And now in my reference thing, I can say image, import image, and I can put my couch in there. So now I have my couch here. And my couch is facing straight towards me, but I want it to be kind of on an angle. So I'm going to go into my Canvas drawing guide, edit drawing guide, perspective, and I'm going to put my vanishing point there. Again, be careful not to turn the lines white. You can turn assisted drawing on in here too. You don't have to do it from the layer menu for the current layer. So this will turn it on for me for now. But if I make a new layer, see it says assisted, if I make a new layer, it doesn't automatically transfer. So you still have to turn it on for every new layer. So yeah, so let's just look at our couch here and say, okay, I'm gonna, I don't want it straight on, but I sort of want that couch. So I'm going to, with drawing assist, kind of was on a invisible layer. You make a new layer, turn on drawing assist. Okay, I'm gonna draw it like this. So I'm gonna draw my front of the cushions. And remember, I always forget, when you have drawing assist on, you have to pick up the pencil between each lines. You can't draw like a shape. You can only draw a line. So if you want to draw a rectangle, you have to go down, lift the pencil, right, lift the pencil up. You have to draw each side separately. Okay, so there's the front of my cushions. And then I'll say, okay, the back of my cushions look like it's about there. And then I'm going to draw these lines following the guidelines. Erase any parts I don't need. Yeah, there it is. Erase any parts I don't need. And now I have the cushions of the couch. Okay, and then I can continue on with other parts. So I can draw the back of the couch like that. I can draw the arm of the couch, right? If it's going to come out like that, then I know by using the guidelines, I can fill in the shapes like that. And then it does, it gives you the right angles for everything, even though you're going to draw over it and make this a different kind of couch. So now I'm not standing right in front of this couch. I'm standing like to the side. So one part, I'm standing like here. Basically, you're standing where the vanishing point is and looking at this couch. So I'm looking dead on at this part, but when I look over to the side, I see it at a different angle because I'm not right in the middle. The vanishing point on the horizon line is where you are looking from where you're standing. So if you want to, that's why I'm putting my pen here. Like that pen is me standing here looking at that couch. Also, the vanishing point and the horizon line is above the couch. So it looks like I'm looking down on the couch, right? So let's just draw a box here. Let's just draw a rectangle here. I mean, we're not going to have a couch above the horizon line. But if we drew, come on, I switched to eraser by accident. If we drew something here, that is above the horizon line, right? that's not so totally neat, but it looks like we're looking up at it. We can see the bottom of it when it's above the horizon line. It's like it's in the sky. It's above your eye level. If it's below the horizon line, you're looking down on it. So you can think of the horizon line also as the eye level. It's the level of where your eyes, where you're looking at it from. So normally for a human looking in a room for a comics background, we're normally looking at it, our eye level would be somewhat higher than the couch. This might be a child's eye level. You know, my eye level might be up here, unless this is a very tall couch. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. It's an overhead bin you've got up on the left, like in an airplane.
Yes, it could be an air conditioner, or I can, if I did it a little differently, I could make it into a picture frame or something hanging on the wall, you know, something smaller hanging on the wall, or maybe an open window with the shutter, you know. So yeah, but I just wanted to show you that the
Really
eye
cool,
level,
thank you.
the eye level and the horizon line, you know, if it's above the horizon line, it's above your eye level. You're looking up at it, you can see the bottom. If it's below the horizon line, it's below your eye level, you're looking down on it, you can see the top. Okay, yeah, you can distort things. You can use the, I'm gonna delete this extra box. And I'm going to use the selection, the transform tool and distort. And you can distort things and mess up the, you know, change the perspective of them sometimes, you know, with the distort tool. And sometimes,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So it's the same. It's actually about distortion. So I have a photo here of somebody in a couch, and so where would the horizon line, like, is it at my eye level, or, you know, because I look at the floor, it's right here.
Can you let me pin this video so that you can show us your photo.
Okay.
Remove the spotlight, and
I don't know if you can see it. I'm on my
okay.
I'm watching. Okay, so do you see what I mean? Like, the couch is distorted.
Okay. Right.
But I just can't figure out where my horizon line is.
Yeah, well, this is a weird picture. Because you're kind of, first of all, it's not appropriate for 1-point perspective.
Okay, good.
And
okay.
Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. If you notice what we were looking at, everything we've looked at, we've looked straight at it. We're in the front of it.
Okay.
If you're looking at something from an angle, then we're going to use 2-point perspective. And that's what would be used in that drawing.
Okay. Thanks so much, Donna.
Yeah, but you can tell the horizon line by looking at, you know, you're looking down on her. You can see the, you know, top of the piano keys kind of. So your horizon line is sort of right in the middle of that picture. So maybe the person was sitting down across the room when they took the picture.
Yes. Okay.
So that they would have the same eye level as basically the person on the couch.
Okay. Thanks so much. It kind of threw me. Thank you.
So Donna, what about that picture just told you, like, in an instant, that's a 2-point perspective, not a 1-point perspective, just because you're not looking straight on?
You're not looking straight at something. It doesn't have to be totally straight. But because, okay, so look at this, it's centered. You're looking straight. Oh, again, let me find my thing and repin my iPad. Where is it? Okay, so you're looking down the thing. Now in this one, it's really kind of weird. But basically, because there's all these buildings are in front of each other, but basically you're seeing the one side of the building and the front of it. And all the fronts of the buildings are looking straight at you because they're just plain rectangles. They're not on an angle. They're just straight. The sides of the buildings are just straight. Let's look at another one. here's one with houses and trees. You see how the side of this house is just straight? You're looking straight down that street. This is, come on, give me the pen, not the eraser. This side, see, it's just straight. You're looking at flat side of things. Also, you can make up whether something is 1-point perspective or 2-point perspective in a way, because that's not a real thing in reality, right? This is an optical illusion we are creating, and we are creating it by making the front of the objects vertical and horizontal lines and then going back that way. But basically, you'll notice in a lot of these things, you're either looking straight at something or you're looking down a hallway, down a road, something, you're looking into usually a long shape, an elongated shape. Could be looking into a room, looking into a road, looking into a tunnel. That's what you'll find for examples for 1-point perspective. But with objects, it's always that one side is facing to you. If see if I can draw one. I mean, if a table was like this, right? If we're drawing a table like that, this is 2-point perspective. We're going to do this later, so don't worry too much. But how do I know it? Well, there's no horizontal line. There's vertical lines for up and down, but there's no horizontal line. So things are going to different places. It's not, there's like a 1 point here and 1 point here for the perspective, because there's no horizontal line. The horizontal lines for the side, you know, that one side or the front of things that are facing you, that's what gives you the clue for 1-point perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think
yeah,
if you look at the couch that you drew for us
Yeah.
before, I think the lines are
you still
on the
have
horizon.
horizontal.
They're
oh,
parallel to the horizon, right? Whereas the one
Yes,
that Erla
right.
showed, the
Are not parallel to the horizon.
horizontal
Exactly.
lines weren't parallel to the horizon.
Right, and that so they were in the of course in the real couch there are horizontal lines in Erla's photo, but in the flat 2-dimensional drawing those lines are not drawn horizontally, they're drawn on an angle. Yeah, so if you're you know, if you don't have horizontal lines with the vertical lines and then the angles, there's no horizontal lines, it's not 1-point perspective, it's going to be 2-point perspective. That's a really good way to look at it. Yeah, so with 1-point perspective, you're looking straight on, but you don't have to be in the center of the thing. So I'm looking straight on at this couch. I'm not right in the center of it, but I'm still looking straight on at it. So I still see that flat piece. You don't see things drawn this way that much unless they're in a room. Because usually, usually if people are drawing just a piece of furniture, they draw it head on. But the next thing is rooms, okay? So here is a room with 1-point perspective. So a room is not as long and narrow as a road. But this, you know, it's still a thing that is extending out in front of you. In this case, you're looking into it. The room itself is a cube, right? So what's going on here is the back of the room is the far away part of the cube, and the front of the room is behind you. It's out there. You're standing inside the room. You're standing inside the room. So the other wall of the room is not in the picture because it's behind you. Make sense? So to draw a room in 1-point perspective, this has furniture, okay? And the furniture is exactly what we said before. You draw the rectangle, you draw the lines to the our vanishing point, okay? That's everything we did. The furniture, if you didn't have the walls and the floor lines in it, that furniture is exactly what we drew already, right? Here's another one. The furniture is exactly what we drew already. But we put the room in, so it gives it grounding, right? Again, I found these pictures all over the internet, so you can search for them. We're gonna spend more time on 1-point perspective, but I'm gonna just show you how to draw like the room and then add furniture to it. So let's draw, and we're gonna be on 1-point perspective for a couple weeks. So let's go into our drawing guide, edit drawing guide, perspective, and put a vanishing point like in the middle. But let's say if I'm standing up and the floor is down here, I'm just going to guess that's my eye level. I'm just making up something from scratch, right? So what I'm going to draw, let me turn on drawing assist. Now I'm going to draw the back of this room. And let's just say it's a wide room. There's the back of the room. That's the wall that I'm looking at. So when I go from the bottom corners to the vanishing points, I have created the floor. And then when I go from the top corners to the vanishing points, I have, let me turn off, I'm going to do a new layer, so no drawing assist, ceiling, floor, wall, wall, wall. So it's just those lines create a room. Now, I'm very far back because the horizon line and the floor is high up. Let's do another one. Turn this one off. I'm going to go into my drawing guide, edit drawing guide. Now, here's the thing. If you want to get rid of that point, you just click on it in here and you can say delete. Now let's put it down there, the horizon line. And let's draw a very similar room. So I'm going to turn on drawing assist and I'm going to draw my line. But it's like a really wide room. And I'm going to add these lines. I've created the floor. When I add these lines, I've created the sidewalls and the ceiling. Let's erase that part that isn't there. I'm much further into this room, and it looks a little bit weird because I see a lot of the ceiling and less of the floor, and that's just because of where the eye level is. So I almost always will steal an eye level and the shape of a wall or something from another picture, and then figure out where the vanishing point is. And I'm just going to keep going for one more minute to show you this. This is how I would cheat on this, okay? So I would cheat on this because cheating is not cheating, remember? Like all artists cheat and use shortcuts and whatever. So I would cheat on this and say I wanted, okay, this room's not as wide, but say I wanted to draw a room that was this shape. I would find a picture of a room that's that shape. I don't care what's in it. I don't care what's in it. I just want a room that's shape, a picture. Now I'm going to do my drawing guide, edit drawing guide, change it to perspective. And now I'm going to look at where is the vanishing point and on this picture. So you just look at where the lines point to. All the diagonal lines point somewhere. So I'm going to tap. Is that right? You can zoom in, change the color of your lines to make them easier for you to see. Maybe I can see them a little better there. And see, okay, are my lines matching up with the lines in the picture? Not really. They're a little bit too shallow or too whatever. They're not gonna, you might not get it exactly, but I want to make it pretty close to this. So I want to find lines that go along the edge of the table, along the edge of the rug, and on the ceiling. So this is pretty close. So now I can say done. I can leave my photo on still if I want, and I can draw in the rectangle for the back of the wall. I can draw in Again, I can do it with or without drawing assist. I can draw in those lines, and now I can turn my photo off, and I have a room that I can add furniture and stuff to. You can see how you're looking into a box. You're looking at the back, you're inside the box. You're looking at the back of it. So your homework for this week is to try to go way back to the beginning and try to draw some cubes. And if you have time, you can draw some other shapes. Don't try rooms or furniture or anything. Just start with doing some basic shapes, and we will, dig into perspective more for the next several lessons. Okay? I hope
Terrific.
that
Thank you, Donna.
help you
Homework
figure
really
something
fun.
out. Yeah. What's that?
Homework, really?
Well,
I'm
if
kidding.
you do it, you will understand it more. Yeah. If you have no desire to
totally
draw,
get that.
if you have no desire to draw, hey, your dog is complaining about the homework.
He is.